I always hear like my grandfather's voice in my head saying like, "What are you talking about? Go!"
Oh
Like
my
I
God.
have the book right up here, Kobe Bryant, The Mamba Mentality.
Mhm.
Every time I feel some sort of like, "Oh no," I open up that book and I read something and I'm like, yeah, it's time to lock in. It's time to lock in. Staring at geometries and meshes all day, even though I love it, it gets boring, and I just miss that kind of connection that I have with people. This is where people with insane thoughts, like insane ideas, can put their ideas into fruition around other intellectually like-minded people. So I was like, get me in there, get me in there. I swear to God, the admissions office hated me. And when I finally got there, I was like, I don't deserve to be here. It's come from insane amounts of persistence and being okay, like being left on red, being left unseen. It's like that weird gambling analogy, you know, gamblers quit before they win. So yeah, like I've always been steadfast on aerospace is what I want to do, regardless of the fact that my dad to this day still thinks I won't graduate. I mean, I have it tattooed right here. I have an F8
Oh,
tattooed right here. 2 years ago, I was 19, and I would have told you, this is so cool. This is so fun. I'm having a great time. It can write stories.
mhm.
Now,
Welcome to Still Human, a bi-weekly podcast by Ocean Studio, featuring thoughtful conversation with builders, creator and thinker working with AI in real life. Rather than focusing on hype or optimization, we explore how technologies affect our time, focus, creativity, and sense of self, and where being human still matter most. I'm your host, Perkin. Today I'm joined by Bailley Georgieva. Does that pronounce correctly?
yes, that is, yeah.
Um, a junior aerospace engineering student at Rutgers who is simultaneously a hypersonic research affiliate at MIT, where she simulates Mach 10 plus flight physics using government restricted NASA code. Last summer, she was a fellow at the Defense Innovation Unit, the Pentagon's bridge to Silicon Valley, evaluating whether startup fixes actually work. And before any of that, at 18, she generated 30,000 trading energy market with algorithmic software. She's also a native Bulgarian speaker, a sorority member, a peer advisor, and helped lead her AIAA team to the top 10 finish out of 112 universities worldwide. Bailley, welcome to the Still Human podcast.
Thank you so much
That's
for
an
having me.
incredible background of you right there.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't realize how long it was, but
It's
I
amazing.
appreciate it.
It's amazing. What's been on your mind lately outside of hypersonic and research?
Yeah, that's a really great question because I mean, I haven't had time to think about other things other than what I'm doing.
Yep.
But I found that I have gone back to immersing myself within my creative side,
Mhm.
whether that is rock climbing, dancing, things like that. Just giving myself kind of a break from the screen that we so often find ourselves in front of every single day. So I
Right.
just try to take that time, get out of my workflow, and allow myself to just kind of move my body and experience the world around me rather than being locked behind my
Mhm.
desk running simulations all day.
That's so valid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think all of us are just trying to find some way to stay sane, like
Yeah.
in this crazy world we live in. But yeah,
100%. Yeah. Do you feel like the the more technologies you are involved in, the feeling that you have the urgency of trying to have that human connection with people, like maybe it's to the nature or like to the friends, like little small moments around you. I just have a conversation with Sean yesterday, actually. Like,
yeah. No, I agree. Like I think that the more you invest yourself behind the work that you do, what I do, it's very solitary. Like
mhm,
I'm by myself, I'm behind my computer, I'm staring at geometries and meshes all day,
mhm,
and even though I love it, it gets boring, and I just miss that kind of connection that I have with people. So, especially in a day of AI, you know, where
yeah.
we don't think as much as we used to,
Mhm,
I want to get out of my way to seek, like one of my favorite YouTube channels, Yes Theory, seek discomfort. Like I try to live in that mentality. So I try to try new things and meet new people and have conversations and things like that.
Is being on this podcast part of the mission?
I mean, yeah, it is because, you know, I feel like most people, when they get like a text saying, hey, I want you to be on my podcast, I'm not going to lie, the first thing I thought was, he's kidding, right? Like,
Yeah.
he's kidding. But yeah, this is like a nice change. So I'm happy.
It's been like very challenging for me as well. Starting this podcast and trying to invite high caliber people like you, trying to have a conversation. I think it's a very great opportunity for both of us. Like I learned so much from my guest, and it's also like my guests enjoy like being on the podcast as well. So like
it's fun.
Yeah,
this is fun.
It comes to my next questions on like before you enter MIT and before the Pentagon, you went to the Pedal School, then transferred to the Lawrenceville School, right?
Yeah.
What was it like moving between two of the most competitive boarding school in the country as a teenager? What did that teach you about like adapting?
Terrifying. It was terrifying. And I transferred, like the reason I wanted to go into a private school was because I wanted to find a community of people with diverse ideas and to be pushed kind of outside of my comfort zone, not so much restricted to the everyday curriculum that we see. And my father, like my parents are immigrants. Like they don't, this is a foreign concept to all of us. So going to Petty, like it was just the craziest experience, a great first year. And then COVID hits. And then I transferred to Lawrenceville and half of my first semester is online.
Oh, that sucks.
And so I'm sitting there behind my computer like we are right now.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because we're learning all this content. We're supposed to engage with each other and it was so hard. And then you get to Lawrenceville and I remember looking around being like, I don't deserve to be here. Like, this is not where I envisioned myself.
Right.
And I think that it went far beyond the education standpoint. I was like, this is where people with insane thoughts, like insane ideas, can put their ideas into fruition around other intellectually like-minded people. So I was like, get me in there. I swear to God, the admissions office hated me because I actually got waitlisted my freshman year, and then I got rejected off of the wait list, and that is why I tried again the second year, got waitlisted again.
Oh my God.
Didn't let it like get to the point where I was being down on myself, and I was like calling admissions every day, trying to get in there. And when I finally got there, I was like, I don't deserve to be here.
How long does that take? The process of like getting rejected?
I mean, it was like I got waitlisted in like January. It's like college admissions, you know? I got waitlisted in January. I was fighting until May to get accepted. That's
actually pretty insane.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I was like, I need to be there.
Would there be a point where you kind of like maybe give up?
Never. That's not the person that my parents like raised me to be. I found that with a lot of the things that I've done within the past year specifically, it's come from insane amounts of persistence and being okay, like being left on read, being left unseen, emails not being returned, phone calls not being answered, straight to voicemail, just finding comfort within that and knowing like, hey, this is not the end of my story. Like, this is not the end of my story. My book is still being written. Like, I'm not just going to give up, because it's like that weird gambling analogy, gamblers quit before they win.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big gamble, you got to keep pushing for what you love and what you want to do. So never is the answer to the question.
Interesting. Yeah. I see like Sean has something very similar personality. I'm not sure if the high school that kind of bring that values, or like the environments just bring those people together and makes everyone, like each individual, have that like more deep rooted that kind of mindset of like just keep trying, and one day you're a success. Just trust or believe yourself, keep doing.
Yeah, I agree. And like with Sean specifically, like I remember in high school, he would always be doing something, like something awesome.
Mhm.
And he would stay quiet about it, he'd be so humble about it. And that's like I was always so I admired that.
Mhm.
And now seeing like where he's gone, I'm like, oh my, like of course he went, like of course he's NVIDIA, like of course he's
Yeah.
building this thing. Like it's just people who celebrate their victories quietly,
Mhm.
I find more ideas and more peace and just allowing themselves to like go forward and create new things.
That's super valid. And
Yeah, no, I
yeah,
completely
I'm so
agree.
proud of him.
Yes, me too.
Yeah. You were a prefect at Lawrenceville, responsible for 50 girls aged 15 to 17. That's a leadership role most adults will struggle with. Take me back to that. What was the hardest moment?
Oh man. Being a prefect, like it was one of the most rewarding things that I could do. I was
Mm.
a day student, so I wasn't actually living on campus, but I was like one of two day student prefects. And we had two other boarding prefects, so they lived in house.
Mhm.
It was so difficult sometimes. The hardest moments would definitely come when people would talk down about themselves or people would have difficulty like maintaining connections with their friends
Yeah.
because even though I'm only like a year or 2 years older than them as a senior in the house, um, I like see myself in them, right? Like
Yeah.
I would see myself in the girls, and it required a lot of empathy. It also required a lot of open-mindedness, lack of bias, and not siding with anybody and doing things like that, and just being very open-minded. So it was difficult to see people struggle, and my first instinct is always like to help and to fix it, but I
Mhm.
can't always fix the problem, especially with some of the things that we dealt with throughout high school. Specifically, me and Sean and I's grade, we dealt with a lot, and seeing ourselves in like the younger class, the underclassmen, it's difficult, and you just want to fix everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where I was like, maybe, I shouldn't try to, be a hero and try to fix everything, because part of learning is experiencing it to the fullest. So
Mm. Now I see where you're going from, like want to succeed and trying to fix everything, to going from like seeing that you cannot help everyone. Maybe you just save yourself first.
literally, but also I feel like a lot of people take it to the extreme,
Mm.
and it's like, because we're scratching up the ladder to success, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's not a bad thing to like look down and see who like, or look next to you, see who needs help,
Right.
or
Right.
scream to the person above you, see who needs, like ask them for help, so
Yeah.
knowing when to ask for help and also knowing when to kind of put your blinders on and stay focused on your path is really important.
Have you always been like, you know what you want? Like you always been interested in aerospace, where like you seeing people knowing what they want, and you kind of feeling the peer pressure that you need to know what you want.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, so my parents grew up in communist Bulgaria,
Mhm.
and my grandfather, he was a pilot for the Bulgarian parliament. He would fly, he would be like one of the only people let out of the country.
Mhm.
And he would fly to different countries. Like my mother and her sisters would not hear from him. But then when he'd come back, he like opened the world to them. Like he would tell them about all these things that they have never seen in their lives.
Mhm.
Um,
That is
and then
so
when
cool.
I was born, yeah, when I was born, he would like show me videos of planes and like explain it to me and do things. And he was just a big advocate for like, he was also just like a people person. He loved advocating for his community and people around him.
Mhm.
So when I was in like fifth grade, I was afraid of this meteor that was going to hit Earth. And I was like, oh my God, we're going to die. We're going to die. It was literally like some conspiracy theory that some guy on YouTube posted.
Yeah.
But I was freaked out of my mind. And I started reading more about planes and aerospace and hypersonic vehicles and things like that. And I was like, what? This is so cool. And so it's a combination of my insane fear as a fifth grader and also the impact that my grandfather has had on my life. And so, yeah, like I've always been steadfast on aerospace is what I want to do, regardless of the fact that my dad to this day still thinks I won't graduate.
Oh no.
Yeah.
But that's kind of your childhood dream. You can say that.
Exactly. I mean, I have it tattooed right here. I have an F8 tattooed right here.
You're committed. That's your dream. Yeah.
There's no backing out.
Yep. You're committed. When did you first know that you want to study aerospace? You kind of like already answered that. Was there a single moment where like it's like built over time? You know, like you say your grandfather has a lot of impact on you, and then the crazy YouTuber give you that kind of feelings that you want to explore the aerospace more. Is there anything else like kind of giving you more like, or like does your family support like your dream?
Yeah, so to answer like the first part of the question, junior year I took physics with a really, really great professor at Lawrenceville, Dr. Keith Voss. My hero.
Shout
out. Dr. Voss, if you're watching this, I still love you. No, but he was a guiding light in the physics realm. And in that class, I really learned to love math and love the weird things about our world, like why things move so fast or why things don't move at all. Like to me, it was all just opened up in that class. Like my world kind of expanded. So that's when I kind of knew. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make things fly. I'm gonna make things fly.
That is very ambitious.
Yeah, but in regards to whether or not my family supports my dream, they support my dream wholeheartedly. Like they have done so much for my brother and I. Even though they have their doubts, like aerospace engineering, you sure you're gonna want to do this? Like, you sure you're gonna graduate? They still to this day consistently support me and consistently like will fly to a conference or will drive me to Boston or make a connection for me that I didn't know I had within my family. So my parents have been like the stable support system for this major. Yeah,
that's really good to have family support back from your childhood dream, that you always have someone backing you up even at the time that you might doubt yourself. Is there ever a time that you doubt yourself that,
oh my God, every day, like I go to class, I'm in aerodynamics and a Navier-Stokes equation is up and I see the derivation and I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean this is an equation I have to solve?
I cannot imagine that. I'm in business school.
It's 2 lines long. Like sometimes you'll see equations that are 2 lines long. You'll see solutions that are 3 pages long. And I'm like, I'm not cut out for this. Like, I'm not cut out. I always hear like my grandfather's voice in my head saying like, what are you talking about? Go. Like I have the book right up here, Kobe Bryant, The Mamba Mentality. Every time I feel some sort of like, oh no, I open up that book and I read something and I'm like, yeah, it's kind of locked in. It's kind of locked in.
Oh, like the mindset. That's so inspiring. I think everyone needs to find their role model when in times of difficulties. The role models always help.
I agree. No, that's a very valid point. I agree.
Yeah. You also work with NASA LoRa, a software that explores control and design for hypersonic reentry physics. Most people hear hypersonic and think fast plan. What actually happening at Mach 10 that makes it so different from anything else in engineering?
You've just opened Pandora's box with that question right there. So hypersonics, what I currently do is, you're simulating things that are flying at like 6 or 5 to plus times the speed of sound,
Right.
which makes no sense, right? Like what I'm working with right now goes 1.8 kilometers per second.
Mhm.
And when you think of that, you're like, how do I can't visualize that. Like that just makes no sense. And what makes it so difficult and such a pain and like so annoying, but I still love it. Like it's so annoying, but chemistry is involved in actual flight. Like there's ionization, there's ablation, there's things are breaking down in the air, and heat, there's insane amounts of heat, there's insane amounts of drag. Like you have physics, you have chemistry, you have heat transfer, and on top of that you're flying so fast that things are starting to ablate, like material is wearing off of the front of that vehicle. So with computational fluid dynamics softwares like LoRa, CFD researchers and hypersonic researchers like myself are trying to simulate hypersonic flow on computers to the best of our ability, so that if it is ever tested, nothing goes wrong. Because a hypersonic test is like, it's like the snap of your fingers. That's how fast it takes a hypersonic wind tunnel to fully test an object. And then imagine you like show up and you have your model and it's all built, and then you put it in the tunnel, it's one shape. You go back in the tunnel and you're like, why is it a completely different shape? Because your simulation didn't resolve that. So it's like, it's important work, because it's like a fight between like all of the global powers to get to the best state of hypersonics as humanly possible. But at 21 years old, do I think I can do that? Absolutely not. No.
Yeah.
But like, it's still fun. So that's why I don't know, hypersonics is cool. A lot of things are going on at once.
That is so cool. I can see the passion and the energies that when you're speaking the thing that
I don't know if it's passion or anger, there's like
anger.
mix of the two.
Yeah, mix of feelings, but like definitely energies. I see a lot of energies when you're trying to explain that, even though it's very hard for me to grasp. Even
it's hard for me to grasp, but I'm explaining it, like...
Okay, at least you're explaining, but I think you're good at explaining.
Thank you.
So like hypersonic and simulation, right?
Yeah.
Simulating hypersonic. So it's for testing before like actual using it.
Yeah, so I got to work with this like amazing researcher at MIT, and he was creating a kind of like a ramp, a hypersonic ramp. And it was cool to like think about like, okay, he's simulating this, but he's actually going to go test it, right? So
yeah.
The process of getting to testing is not linear. Like you have to do a mesh. So you have to basically create a grid resolving all of the flow area that flow is going to be hitting through kind of your reference geometry. And then after that, you need to find a solver that you like. So a specific program that someone has created. Then within that program, there are various different turbulence models. So the way that the flow will behave, there are very different models that will simulate that kind of flow. And then after that, you need to calculate, different pressure, different kind of temperature that might be there. You need to engage specific numerics in order for your simulation to actually run. And then sometimes you could have done everything right and you run the simulation and it doesn't converge. So like converging, basically it doesn't work. Like it's not good enough for what you need it to do. And then you're just sitting there and you're like, okay, well now what? Like, I don't know what to do. Yeah.
Very interesting. Is there any like the most difficult part of that kind of simulation? What's the most difficult part?
Picking yourself back up after you've run multiple different simulations and they still haven't worked. Like being able to sit back down in front of the solver, in front of the computer and saying like, here we go again. Like, we're gonna try this again because the
Is it
simulation
like is it like
out.
one failures and then you have to restart everything? Like
It's
consider
like
everything factors in it.
pretty much like once you have your mesh, right, and you've done a mesh convergence study on it, so basically you see if it's good enough, like you see if you've resolved everything, you can then put it into the solver.
Hmm.
Then the solver, you can run it so many times, but then like once if it fails, right, like you have to go back and you have to ask yourself like, what did I do wrong?
Hmm.
What happened? Like I have to go start reading again, look at my mesh again, do things like, yeah. So you're starting from, it's like you're going from ground zero to like 75%, and then you're being bumped back to 25%. And then
Hmm.
each time you're just going back and forth and back and forth.
I'm trying I'm trying to understand the language there. It's actually very
It's just,
difficult.
it's difficult, but I guess the key thing is like you got so far, right?
Yeah.
And then something, you hit a roadblock,
Okay.
and then you're pushed right back to the starting line.
Mm.
And it's the same thing over and over again. And you have to find the strength within yourself to say, okay, let's go back to the beginning.
Hmm.
Let's do this again. Let's do this again.
That's where you build that resilience. Like you restart every time and telling yourself that I will do it this time. This time it works. This time it works.
It's a bunch of like gaslighting, you like have
Gaslighting,
to keep
yeah.
telling yourself like, I this time will work
Yeah.
100%. And then it
100%.
doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it
And you're
doesn't.
like,
There we go
yeah,
again.
here we go again.
At the Defense Innovation Units, you are essentially a technical scout, evaluating whether startup fixes claim were real. What was it like as a 20 years old to sit across founders and tell them that their math doesn't work?
I worked alongside some brilliant minds,
Hmm.
and to see the variance between different solvers, the variance between numerical modeling,
Hmm.
and kind of pointing that out in our final presentation, it was kind of like, I don't really think I have the authority to do this,
Yeah.
like I'm 20 years old. Like, there's hypersonics is so young. Like, I don't think that I'm, qualified to say anything about it,
Hmm.
but it definitely felt kind of like, please don't yell at me. Please don't yell at me. Like, you know what I mean?
Do you feel like you have like the power of like pointing out that you might be right? Do you feel the fear that you need to say something out? Or like you just feel like you have to do your job?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing you can't be in engineering is complacent. You know,
Mhm.
you can't always believe you have to question everything
Question everything.
all the time. And
Mhm.
so sometimes like I had a really great conversation with my professor. Shout out Professor Tomorrow. But I had a conversation with my professor and he was like, yeah, I don't like using this solver.
Mhm.
And then he explained it to me, and from that conversation, I was able to be like, wait, like we can have opinions, we can have opinions that matter. And so calling it out is hard because I'm so young, right? Like I'm so young in a very like male dominated space. And like I was at MIT with a pink keyboard and like pink everything, and like I don't know, you question like, is this like, am I credible? Like, am I a credible source? Am I a credible witness like to this
Mhm.
stuff? But you have to come to the decision that like, yes, I am worthy of saying something. I'm worthy
Mhm.
of making a statement.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah,
I think it's actually quite important you point out the point that you have to be able to question everything.
yeah,
Um, I think especially in this age of AI, there's so many things that it's not true, and then it's become the dominant opinions, and it's quite dangerous actually. So, like being able
I
to have
agree.
your original thought and question everything, it's how you remain your human components in certain decision making.
I agree. That's so very true. And I'm so glad that you bring that up because I just read an essay the other day, AI has already taken
Hmm.
so many jobs and we don't even know it yet. It's already happening. It's happened.
Hmm.
Jobs have been taken.
Hmm.
Um, and engineers are just flying by with Chat GPT,
Hmm.
you know?
Hmm.
Do you really want somebody to build an airplane based on what Chat GPT told them to do?
Hmm.
Or like an AI tool has told them to do?
Hmm.
People lack the originality and the critical thinking that we had like 5 years ago before
Yeah.
any of this was ever a thing. And it's only been 2 years
Right.
since people have started to use
Yeah.
AI seriously.
It's so
And
scary.
it, it's scary, but it's also embarrassing. You know?
Embarrassing. That's a word you're using.
Embarrassing.
Embarrassing. Why
It's
so? Why so?
because our brain is such a powerful tool,
Yeah.
and there are so many impact leaders out there that we aspire to be like every
Mm.
single day.
Right.
Um and the reason that they have been able to succeed is because of their originality.
Right.
Do you really are you really going to find somebody credible if they've used like if they've used an AI tool? Not really, because you're basically an AI tool is a large search engine. It's
Hmm.
going to try to do everything in its power to make you, the user, happy.
Hmm.
Like it's unhealthy. There are very healthy ways to use AI, very great ways
Yeah.
that you can use AI.
Yeah.
But the average person uses AI in the completely wrong way.
100%. I 100% agree with you on this perspective. I think this technologies has developed too fast that our education is not ready to shift it. And professor, like the school, are scared of teaching student to use it because student use it to cheat. They think student use it to cheat, but like students still gonna use it, but they are misusing it. So like I think it took some time for the school to adapt how the technology is going to be used in the school. But I think here comes to our AI. AI question for you. Your entire workflow is computational, CFD software, algorithmic trading, finite elements analysis. How does AI show up in your day-to-day research right now? Is it changing how you simulate hypersonic flow?
It's a really, really good question. And the fact of the matter is, AI, the only thing AI helps me do is find more literature to read. So, for example, I will, like I said earlier, it's just a large Google engine.
Mm.
It's like a huge search engine of all of these different ideas on the internet. So, I I like if I like a specific article or white paper or something like that, I will put that author or that name of the paper in the chat box and ask, find me similar papers. But like even then, I've trained my AI bot to not respond to me like it's a human because I know a lot of people, their chat GPTs, like they have personalities and they have like names and they do like whatever. Oh my gosh, my lighting. They do like whatever. But I literally spent so long writing like this super long paragraph just to get my AI bot to respond to me in code. So it'll respond to me in TXT files so that it removes the human element because it's not human. It doesn't have thoughts or ideas. So, whoa. So it shouldn't refer to me by my name, nor should it refer to itself with like myself. I think things like that. It's just part of the disease.
That's so interesting. I never heard people trying to do it that way.
It removes the reliance off of
Mm.
the AI bot because I was in a point in my life where I was experiencing severe anxiety. I didn't know what to do with myself. And I would use Chat GPT. I would put my symptoms in and it would try to calm me down. When I realized what it was doing, I took a step back and I was like, what the hell? This is a robot trying to calm me down. Like, this is not okay. This is straight from that from Wall-E. Like, we're literally turning in to the people that are shown in Wall-E, the movie. Just like bedridden in our chairs in front of screens all the time. And that's what's happening.
Do you know OpenAI, they have a health AI right now, specific for health?
It's insane. There are so many different GPTs out there.
Yeah.
There's like music theory GPTs. There's like image generation, like Sora. People don't know the difference between a real image anymore. You have to question everything. It's stupid. It's like it's so, I guess it's funny. It's comical because it's like what was comedy for us like 5 years ago today is an AI generated video.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous.
Do you think this is like, for you, it's more like an entertainment or like a joke, or like, do you think these things will have even more impact on us? How does that gonna change our life in the future? If it's like already feeling that pressure of like AI is like subconsciously changing everything and how people interact, people will stop socializing, people start relying on AI for consulting. Yeah, what's your perspective on that?
I think that for the people who don't understand what AI is doing to you right now, it means that you're already under that spell of AI. You're doing exactly what AI wants you to do. It's such a powerful tool. It's such a powerful tool. And that's what it is. It's a tool, you know? It's going to change everybody's lives if we continue to depend on it to the degree that it is dependent on currently. So whether that be like creating a friend on AI for yourself, somebody to talk to, you know, or trying to cheat, you know, things like that, like trying to use it as let me make my life so much easier to the point where I don't even have to think or use my human instincts anymore. If for the people who don't understand what's going on with that, it already means that they've become complacent. Like they've become complacent and AI has already done its job.
If it's 2 years ago, I would disagree with you. AI is just a tool.
Well, 2 years ago, I was 19 and I would have told you, this is so cool. This is so fun. I'm having a great time. It can write stories. Now, after I mean, you and I, like, we're in the generation of so much has changed, like, over the course of our lives.
Yeah.
Like, we have experienced so much. And AI has been one of the best and worst things to happen to humanity because it has shortened people's workflow, which is great, you know, optimization. That is really important. But then it has also completely removed the human element that we have in our day-to-day lives by just having a conversation.
Yes, I agree with you. And I think that's also the reason of this podcast. I have so many conversation and debates with people, maybe in history, in arts, so many on creativity side. And I realized like I lost so much over the past 2 years of going all in on AI and learning stuff like that. I realized we lost so much of human connection and what's like, who are you? Who are you as an individual? Who are you as a person without AI? And I think
that is so good. That is so good.
Like,
who are you without AI? That's so good. Oh, you need to put that on a shirt.
I've been asking myself, like, who am I? Like, because I thought like AI helped me skyrocket so much that I learned so much that I wouldn't be able to without AI. You know, like I start, you know, vibe coding, right? I do a lot of projects through vibe coding. I feel like AI just helped me, becoming like unbreakable. But what's actually true is that AI takes so much from me that at the point where I almost cannot dive deeper into a specific field, um, I cannot have like I almost feel like myself become hollow inside out. Like I start relying on AI on everything that I used to prefer manually. Maybe it's a late, like boring task. And I think that's very terrifying.
It is, but you've already escaped the chains of that by recognizing what has
Yeah.
happened.
I think it's better to be at the middle. Like you see the both side. Like
Yeah.
this tool is gonna be powerful, but like you're not trusting it entirely.
Yeah, and in the fine print at the bottom of every single chat box is
Yeah.
fact check.
Yeah.
We could be wrong.
Yeah.
Nobody fact checked.
That's right.
Nobody
That's right.
fact checked it. They're like, what AI says is Bible, and
Right.
that's it.
Right.
I honestly, the day, just like Sean said, I don't want to live to see the day that AI decides the next president or the next military move or,
We dropped the bomb.
like literally,
Yeah.
like the day that we start believing that what AI says is Bible is the day that like the
Doomsday.
human race has collapsed.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a tension in your field. AI can generate mesh faster, run surrogate model, optimize design, but the physics at Mach 10 is so extreme that the wrong assumption can be catastrophic. Where do you draw the line between trusting AI and trusting your intuition?
I don't trust AI with what I do.
Mm.
Sure, it can generate a mesh, but it's never going to generate a mesh to the precision that my human eyes and human brain can generate it. Because sometimes you can just see like what's happening. You can see what's happening and you can say like, this isn't good enough. And like, I know when to stop. AI will do anything to please you. So it can skew numbers. It can make assumptions that like make no sense, that they can say like, oh, this assumption at Mach 4 can be made for Mach 15, or something like that. So AI is the ultimate people pleaser. And so when you give it something that you want, it's going to try its best to make you the happiest. And so I just don't trust it because I would rather try and fail 100 times than rely on AI and have to dig between the lines to see where it made a mistake.
It seems like you are kind of very against using AI in your works. How does that affect in like aerospace specifically? I believe like the system like with the people you are working with, they probably use a lot of AI or like some sort of intelligence in their system to help them have a better decision making, whatever the simulation, speed up the process. What do you think about that?
I think that every researcher has their own workflow.
Yeah.
Just, my philosophy is when it comes to the technical things, I refer to papers and previous studies or things like that because that's all human knowledge and human originality. You have to grow alongside AI, not at the same rate of like you and AI should be here on one level playing field. AI should never be above you in the sense that in what you think. So fact checking in hypersonics, it's still such a young field. It comes with conversations. It comes with paper, like researching papers, so like literature review. It can also come with, AI opinion, but that's what it is. It's opinion. It's not facts. So you have to keep questioning everything. If I were to use AI for what I was doing every single day, even in my homework, it'll get it wrong. Sometimes I'll have the correct solution, and just for my own amusement, I will put the correct solution into AI and ask it to explain it to me, and it's wrong. And I'm like, okay, so right now humans are still above AI in some regards. So we just have to grow with it, not against it. And that's just how life is. AI is not inherently bad. It's a great thing. It's the way that you use it that makes it important.
I like the way you explain how AI works with human. I think I need to take note on that. That's actually a really good like explanation of how people and like human and AI should coexist.
Yeah.
Like, AI should never be above us, but like instead accompany us, helping us to become better and become faster in a way that how we use the tools. So I guess before we continue, I have a question passed to you from our previous guest, Toby Corey. Toby suggests you read the poem Instruction Before Visiting Earth by the poet James McCrae and simply write your answer to the question. Have you read it?
I have, and I've thought a lot about it. That is a really
interesting one, right? Yeah, I read it too.
Specifically, you know, the biggest thing that resonated with me was don't keep your soft heart locked inside a glass cage protected from wear and tear. That I think speaks to everybody, regardless of how old you are, how like young you are, where you are in your life. It goes right back to the whole seek discomfort, you know? And I'm so grateful for him for sharing that, because it just shows that people who strive to do big things still deserve the human connection and the moral values that we were born with, like the human instinct that we were born with. So allowing yourself to feel, allowing yourself to be present and respect the moment that you're in, and to cherish those who are close to you, but also welcome those who are near. Like, always be open to a conversation. And I think that that's super powerful.
100%. I like that line a lot too. I think that's actually one of my favorite lines too. Does the poem change how you think about the work you're doing? Simulating machine that push past human limits.
Yeah. I almost feel like a proud father, you know, like every time I see like a mesh or a contour that looks exactly the way that I want it to be.
Yeah.
I'll be like, beautiful. Like this is great.
Yeah.
And also just understanding that like my limitations as a human being, you know, I don't have multiple consciousnesses. I don't know if that's a word, but like I have one consciousness. I'm not a robot. I'm someone with organs and feelings, you know, pushing past the limits of humanity is not a bad thing. And I think that poem just talks about things will evolve. Things will change.
Yeah.
Humans might not know everything that, you know, computers might eventually know. But that doesn't mean that we are below them. And that does not mean that they're above us. It just means that we work in different ways. And that's beautiful in and of itself.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting you mentioned the consciousness. Do you look up Toby Corey, like his like experience and stuff?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, Toby spent years reconciling hypergrowth with consciousness, and you're like a 20-year-old and already deep in the defense industry complex. Like, how do you hold that? How do you feel like?
I think like everyone's path isn't linear, you know, everyone has their own path to success, and what he's doing and what he's wrestled with, it's not something that I could ever see myself in the state that I'm in right now doing. But like, it's so beautiful to just to see people who are successful in other regards. And the idea of expanding your consciousness and understanding your consciousness more, it can send you down a rabbit hole. And that's awesome, you know, exploring like different parts of your mind, because we still don't know a lot about the brain.
Right. Yeah.
It's important to ask those questions, to push back, and to challenge our understanding, because that's how you become a better person, and that's how you can grow your consciousness.
Mm. I love when people are trying to. I feel like this era, there's a lot of people interesting in lots of stuff, but they are interesting in lots of stuff, but they never dive deeper. And I'm really like admire people who love to explore something deeper more than just like knowing it. You know, like when you talk about aerospace, when you talk about consciousness, you're always trying to find the root cause, or like the fundamental, the first principle problems, everything deeper other than just superficial.
Yeah.
Before we close, I ask every guest this: if you could leave one question for our next guest, someone else navigating AI, and what does it mean to be human, what would you ask them?
I'm going to take it right from you, though. Who are you without AI?
Okay.
Genuinely, who are you without AI?
Okay.
And also, like, are you at the point in your life where in 10 years you're going to look back and say you did everything you could have done to make yourself happy?
Is that a follow-up?
That's a follow-up.
Okay.
It's important.
Like it.
You know, we got to be happy in this world. Yeah. We live once.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one. So this is a signature question for this podcast. As AI becomes more present in our lives and work, where do you feel being human still matter most?
Oh, that's a beautiful question. Oh my gosh. Your friendships. They shouldn't be behind like a chatbot. Like my roommates are here, and I can't wait to go eat dinner with them, you know. And just allowing yourself to feel everything, allowing yourself to be scared, and allowing yourself to question everything around you. That is what makes us human, and we shouldn't lose that.
Like it. Bailley, if the listener right now want to find your works, where can they find you? Like,
yes. You can find me on LinkedIn. So you have my name right here in this beautiful little corner. I think I'm pointing to the right corner, but my name, Bailley Georgieva, 2 L's. I have it all on LinkedIn. You know, message me. I'm always open to a conversation. I'm always open to critiques and feedback as well. That's important too. And then, yeah, from, you know, let's be friends. Like,
let's be friends. Networking.
Let's be friends.
Yeah, friendship, right? Never.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you for being on this podcast. I'm so glad, so honored to have you on this podcast.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much. You're doing great work.